Let's talk about silver. You know, that metal you probably see is pretty common, maybe a bit less special than gold. But what if I told you that it's quietly, and very quickly, disappearing?
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but that's the big question we're diving into today. Is it possible that silver, of all things, is on its way to becoming one of the most scarce and essential materials on the entire planet? The answer, well, it's not what you think. So to really get this, we have to start with the fundamental difference between silver and its more famous, more expensive sibling, gold. And it all boils down to one simple thing: how we actually use them.
Okay, think about it. Gold is basically a hoarded treasure. We dig it up, we refine it, and then we lock it away in a vault or turn it into jewelry. Nearly every ounce of gold ever mined still exists somewhere in a concentrated, recoverable form. Silver, though, it's a totally different story. It's an industrial titan. It is the single most conductive and reflective metal on the planet, which means it gets used. It gets consumed.
And that word, consumption, is the absolute key here. Now, this doesn't mean the silver is vaporized or destroyed. It just means it gets scattered in such tiny, microscopic amounts into so many products that it's pretty much impossible to get back easily. It's effectively removed from the world's available investable supply. It's still there, it's just lost in the system. So where is it all going? Just look around you. It's in the smartphone in your pocket, the computer you're on right now. It's absolutely critical for solar panels, electric vehicles, 5G networks, and the massive data centers that power artificial intelligence. Every single piece of our modern technological world is built on a thin layer of silver. Okay, so the logical next question is, well, if it's not destroyed, why don't we just, recycle it and get it back? And that brings us to this really fascinating paradox.
This quote really hits the nail on the head. We can get it back. The technology exists, so why on earth don't we?
And the answer is simple. It's not a physics problem, it's an economics problem. Imagine trying to gather up millions of old, discarded cell phones. The cost of collecting them, shipping them, and using complex chemical processes to extract a few tiny flecks of silver, well, it's just way more expensive than the value of the silver you get back, at least at today's prices. And this has created what you could call a technological graveyard. There are literally billions of ounces of silver trapped in landfills and e-waste dumps all over the world. It's all just sitting there, waiting for the price of silver to get high enough to make its economic resurrection worthwhile. But until then, that silver is gone from the market.
So all of that brings us to the silver you can actually buy today, the investment-grade stuff. And this is where the official numbers start to create a really powerful illusion.
You'll often hear this number thrown around, about 1 billion ounces. That's the supposed stockpile of investment-grade silver bullion in the world. And hey, a billion of anything sounds like a whole lot, right? It seems like a massive pool of supply.
But here's the kicker. How much of that billion ounces is actually for sale? A massive chunk of it is held by what we call strong hands, ETFs, family trusts, long-term investors who see the writing on the wall and have absolutely no intention of selling it at today's prices. That deep pool of supply, well, it might just be a puddle.
And now for the part where this illusion of supply just completely shatters. All you need is a little bit of back-of-the-napkin math to see how thin the ice really is.
All right, first, let's take the number of millionaires on the planet. Right now, that's about 58 million people. These are the folks with the kind of money to protect, who might look to buy a physical asset like silver.
So what happens if every single one of those millionaires decided they wanted an equal slice of that entire 1 billion ounce global stockpile? How much would each of them get? The answer is just 17 ounces. That's it, 17.
To put that into perspective, for a person with millions of dollars in assets, 17 ounces of silver is nothing. It's the cost of a nice dinner out. It's a rounding error. And yet, if they all tried to buy just that tiny amount, the entire available global stockpile would be completely wiped out, instantly.
But okay, that's just the millionaires. Let's zoom out. Let's look at every single person on Earth, all 8.2 billion of us.
If you took all the identifiable above-ground recoverable silver in the entire world and divided it up equally, every man, woman, and child would get about 3 ounces. 3 one-ounce coins. Just think about that for a second.
And here is the part that will really bake your noodle. Most of us, living in the developed world, we probably already own our 3-ounce share. We just don't know it. It's not on our hands as a coin. It's the tiny bits embedded inside our phones, our computers, our cars. We are completely dependent on a metal that, on a per-person basis, almost doesn't even exist.
So when you see how much we consume and how incredibly thin the actual available supply is, it all leads to one final, critical question.
And this situation is getting more extreme by the day. Just 10 years ago, with about 7 billion people on the planet, the per-person share was around 7 ounces. Today, with 8.2 billion people, it's down to 3. In a single decade, it's been cut by more than half.
And this incredible squeeze is happening because of a perfect storm. You've got two massive forces hitting at the same time. First, more people on the planet means more baseline demand for everything. And second, an absolute explosion in tech demand. The green energy revolution, AI, they are all consuming silver at a rate we have never, ever seen in human history.
So, when you actually stop and look at the data, the insane industrial consumption, the recycling paradox, and the frankly shocking per-person numbers, you realize something. The question is no longer if silver is rare.
The only question that really seems to be left is this: when will the rest of the world finally realize how incredibly rare it has already become? Thanks for watching The Explainer.